Viewers like you make this program possible. Support your local PBS station.
Jim, are the fish ready for us?
Ready and waiting. Let's go get them.
Okay.
Cast off. Let's go get them.
Things do what they do.
Cast off.
So who knows?
This is the good ship High Hopes, aptly named because its captain, Jim Tangent, will, for a price, take amateur fishermen like me out into Puget Sound in search of the elusive salmon. After an hour's sail to a spot known only to Captain Jim, we tried our luck as the gray skies threatened. Imagine my delight at getting the first strike and landing the first fish. So what if it was an ugly, inedible, nasty creature called a ratfish? It would be the only thing caught at that secret spot. We tried several other surefire holes, and sure enough, no salmon.
There it is. Look at that fish.
But then, as time was running out at a place known to desperate fishermen as Point No Point, my luck changed.
It's a salmon. Come on, let's move up. Let's move this way. Come on. Slip that pole out. We got some hooks there. Oh. Come on back, back, back.
We're following her back.
Back, all the way back. Move that pole out of there. Okay, right there. Keep reeling. Keep reeling. If you don't keep reeling, see, we're running Barbel's hooks here. You got to keep reeling. No. Leave that there. Keep reeling. Keep going.
All right. Have we lost it?
There ain't no one. He's right
We
there.
have it. Hooray! It is a salmon. Here he comes. Here he comes. There he...
Okay, Ray, get ready. Okay.
There he is. Hooray!
There you go.
Hooray! We really have. It's a beautiful one, isn't it?
Okay.
Woo.
Good show. Good show.
Look at it. That's
What a
wonderful.
fish.
That's wonderful. The fish I caught in Puget Sound weighed only 3.5 pounds, and that was not enough for 10 people. So before we left Seattle, we got this beautiful silver salmon that was caught by Bruce Gore up in Alaska, and it's an example of how fish should be treated. It was brought up on a single line and very carefully laid on deck so it couldn't be bruised, as often happens if it's in a net. As you can see, the scales are intact. It's in a beautiful shape. And then it was gutted and bled, which is very important, almost immediately. And finally, it was put in a freezer on the boat at 30 below zero, and there it remained with practically no change in temperature until it was ready to be defrosted. And then when we got it, we were instructed to defrost it very slowly in ice in the refrigerator. And the reason for that is that if you try and do it fast, the ice crystals break through the flesh and turn it mushy. So this is a beautiful example of a fish, and if we could all get one as carefully treated as this, we'd be well off. And now we're ready to cook it, so I'm going to wash it first, handling it with loving care, and washing it inside and out, and in the mouth and through the gills and on the outside. And I'm going to dry it off and season it. Right, inside. This is mainly just so that I can season it. It doesn't have to be very dry. Now I'm going to put about, a good teaspoon of salt inside it, and then oil it I don't know that oiling is necessary, but I always feel that the fish like it, so I feel that it's a nice thing to do. And then turn it over on the other side. And I'm not going to take any scales off because we're going to do a steaming of it. And I think having the scales on keeps the skin intact. Now, you don't have to have any kind of a fancy instrument to poach or braise a fish in. You can use just a plain old covered roaster like this and just curl the fish around in it, which works perfectly well, but I happen to have this beautiful French fish poacher, and the whole neighborhood uses it, so it's a good thing to have on hand. You can often borrow one from a hotel. It has a rack with holes in it, and you're going to see how easily this works. There's the rack, and then, so for ease in taking it off, later I'm going to lay this piece of washed cheesecloth on the rack, and then on goes Fishy. He fits beautifully. He could be even 4 inches longer. And now, because it's going to cook in wine and flavorings, I have here, I've got about 2 cups of sliced onions, 1 cup each of sliced carrots and celery. And I'm going to put half of them on the fish. Some of them can dribble off. That's another reason for having the cheesecloth. And then the rest I'm going to put in after I've put the fish in the poacher. And I'm going to put the cheesecloth around here. And be sure that you wash it off, because cheesecloth often has a medicinal taste to it. In it goes. And this was a herb bouquet that's down here. That's bay leaf, parsley, and a little thyme. Then I'm going to put the rest of these vegetables around. And the reason for the vegetables is that it's going to give a very nice taste to the poaching liquid, and then we can turn the poaching liquid into a sauce. Now on it goes to my nice big stove. Then I'm going to put a whole bottle of dry white vermouth in here, or you could use dry white wine. I like a good French vermouth because I think it has a little more body to it. Now I just want enough liquid to come up to the top of this rack here, so I need a little bit more. And also to give body to the sauce, I've got about 2 cups of chicken stock, or you could use fish stock if you had that. I don't happen to have any. Then I need a little more liquid. So in goes a little bit of water. And that's enough. You see, that's about ½ an inch of liquid there. Then here's a big piece of foil. That goes on top. And fold it all the way down, because we want to make a pretty tight seal. And then here's the cover to the poacher. I see that little bit that isn't there, covered there. There's the cover. And then you want to weight down the cover so that you can keep this steam in. You can use canned goods. I've got 2 nice rocks. And then on goes the heat. And that's a 10-pound fish, and it will take about an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. And you want to have a little thermometer. It should go to about 148 degrees. So while that's going, I'm going to get to my first course. I thought to go with the salmon, it would be nice to have a first course that was kind of meaty. And this is carpaccio, a kind of an elegant beef tartare. It's very easy to make. And it's made out of raw beef tenderloin, and that's a fully trimmed piece of beef tenderloin, raw and expensive. And slice it on the bias, about 3/8 of an inch thick, using a very sharp knife. And then you want to thin it and beat it until it's thin and tender. And then I beat it between 2 sheets of plastic wrap, which I think is an easy way to do it, using a plumber's rubber hammer. And what I want to do, I want to beat it out the size of that piece of bread. See, that's just about right. Then, after having beaten it out, then we're going to put some flavored butter on the bread, a kind of a mustard butter with some horseradish. There's about half a teaspoon of horseradish and about a tablespoon and a half or 2 tablespoons of Dijon-type mustard and about half a teaspoon of salt and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops of Worcestershire sauce. Pepper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 grinds of pepper. Then stir it all around. That was unsalted, just kind of softened butter. I'll have to stir it around again with my rubber spatula. And the flavoring is very much up to you. You don't want too much flavoring, but enough to make it interesting. It should still taste beefy. And then spread the butter, about a half tablespoon, on your piece of thinly sliced white bread, getting it all the way out to the edges. This was invented, carpaccio was invented at Harry's Bar in Venice, named after their favorite Venetian painter, Carpaccio. I don't think they put it on bread, but I like it on bread because I think it's nice. Now I want to cut it into bite-sized pieces, so I'll cut it into 8 pieces. There's half and half again, and then cut it into half the other way, and there you have 8 pieces, pretty as a picture. And you can get this all done ahead of time, decorated the way it is done here. It's got capers, a little salt and pepper on the beef, and a little oil, and a scallion. And then you can get it ahead and put it in the refrigerator. Now we'd better take a look at our salmon. Well, it's been about 1 hour and 15 minutes for this 10-pound fish, and I think we'd better take a look at it. A fish is done at an internal temperature reading of 148 to 150. And you want to take a thermometer, get one of these little instant thermometers, and stick it in the thickest part of the fish, and it ought to read 148 to 150. You have to leave it in for about half a minute to make sure. And just check that very carefully. It isn't done, let it steam just a little bit more. But this now reads the way it should. And here we have unveil our fish. And you have those vegetables and just brush them off so they'll get into the pan there. Then I'm going to lift her up and let it drain a little bit. See how useful it is to have that rack. If you don't have a rack, you just have to invent something else. That's why it's useful to have a community fish poacher. Oh, that's hot. Is over here on the foil. And now another way to tell whether it's done is do the fins. Here's this dorsal fin. Does that come out easily? It does come out easily. That's another indication that it's done. You want to take out all of these fins, and then you want to skin the fish. I'm going to take that, because you don't want to serve a fish with skin on. Maybe some people eat skin, but I don't. So just take a spoon and just see that comes easily off. Now with the skin off, you've got this kind of brown flesh, and I like to remove all of that and just have the nice pink salmon-colored flesh underneath. Now comes the breathtaking part of getting the fish onto the platter, and it's got to go upside down. So I'm going to put the platter on the fish and then turn it catty-cornered and reverse the two and hope for the best. Yep, that's done it. That's good. There. And now all I have to do now is to take this skin and the brown flesh off of this side, and it's going to be ready to be decorated. I've got these beautiful cooking juices, and I'm going to turn them into a sauce. And to do that, you want to reduce them. That means to boil them down hard. Well, that's reduced about 15 minutes, and you want to cook it until it's almost syrupy, and then strain it in. It's always convenient in this big old fish poacher. Then press any juices out of the vegetables. And you've got a lovely flavorful juices in there. And we're going to turn that into a sauce now. And I'm going to use a very simple thickening. That's a beurre manier. That is butter and flour. I'm going to put in a little bit at first and heat it up. There, see, that's a really good thick sauce there. Now I'm going to pour in cream and let that boil down a little more. This is something, a sauce by the seat of your pants. But it's just delicious because you've got all that wonderful flavor in there. You could make a butter sauce or a hollandaise, but I think as long as you have these beautiful braising juices, you're not going to get anything much better than that. Now that's nice and thick and just the right consistency, and I've tasted it, and I'm going to put some parsley in. And that's going to cover the fish. Now, as you look at the fish now, you'd never serve it like that. You have to have something on it, either a bunch of chopped parsley or cucumbers, but this sauce just does the trick beautifully. There, I think that looks pretty nice. And now you've got to show it to your guests so they can admire it before you cut it all up. Now, dessert. You're probably wondering, what's she going to follow that with? Luckily, that's not my problem. Douglas, you're supposed to be in there preparing that fabulous dessert.
Well, for what I had in mind, I needed some of your azalea blossoms. I hope you don't mind.
Ooh, well, anything you say. The kitchen is ready.
This is what I'm going to make for you today. It is a chocolate sac de bonbon, and it is a chocolate bag filled with layers of mocha, white, and chocolate mousse, filled with raspberries and sort of laden with a raspberry glaze. Simple to make. All you need is a bag, paper bag, double-lined with wax paper and an exterior, and a paintbrush, probably the width of the bag, and sort of cup the bag into your hand and paint this semi-sweet melted chocolate with nothing else in it, starting from the bottom and getting in all the crevices. It's very important, and then sort of ending it with a light brush on top. Once the bag is fully covered with chocolate, simply pop it in the freezer for about 5 minutes until it's firm. And now for the filling, white chocolate mousse. This is simply a meringue of egg whites with slightly added a little sugar to hold it, and we're going to take some white chocolate. The white chocolate can be folded right into the meringue as quickly as you possibly can. You could probably do it with a spatula or a whisk, but do it very quickly, just so the white chocolate blends it with the whites. And then you take whipping cream, firmly whipped whipping cream in equal proportions, and you just gently fold the meringue into the egg whites, just like that. And now we're going to divide this in 2 equal parts. The mixture in this bowl will be flavored with lemon cognac. You simply take lemon zest, this is from the lemon rind, some lemon juice, which will cut the sweet flavor of it, and some cognac. You take that and just very lightly stir it around, set it aside. The next one, we'll add the remainder of this white mousse, but we're going to transform it into a luscious mocha, which is chocolate and sort of instant coffee diluted slightly with hot water, just to make it thick. Take and fold it around or whisk it around with your whisk. Set it aside. Now for the classic mousse au chocolat. It's so simple. You take 4 ounces of chocolate, 4 ounces of butter, 4 eggs separated, and whip them. And then we take the egg whites and softly beat them. Do you see how the egg yolks are feeding into the chocolate? You can take and add rum, just a little, and whip this until it becomes tight. Then we will take that and add some egg whites, the same amount as the egg yolks, and then sort of fold it into the chocolate. Notice after only 5 minutes in the freezer how the chocolate is firmed up. Now we simply fill it with the 3 mousse that we previously made, the white, the mocha, leaving room at the top for the berries, and the chocolate. Now simply put it back in the freezer let it firm up again. After a few more minutes in the freezer, now we're ready for the peel. You simply turn the bag upside down and just gently peel away from the bottom, working towards the center. All right, there you have it. Voila. But before I do that, I want to put some raspberry sauce on it. This is just simple frozen pureed raspberries, just slightly seasoned with Grand Marnier. Set your sock in the center, and then proceed to fill it with, of course, fresh raspberries. Just so it looks like the bonbons or the candies. And then you crown it with your frosted strawberry. Voila. There you have a simple sac de bonbons, Julia, mon cher.
With us today is Zelma Long, winemaker of the Simi Winery in Sonoma. And she's brought all the wines that we're going to have today. We have a 1980 Chardonnay, and a 1980 Gewürztraminer, and a 1981 Zinfandel. Zelma, what goes with what?
Well, the Gewürztraminer I think is wonderful with fruit. Zinfandel I like very much with lamb, with beef. Chardonnay goes with chicken, many fish dishes.
So we'll have Chardonnay with our salmon.
That would be perfect.
And then what are we going to, what the Gewürz is going to be with what?
Well, we could have the Gewürz before dinner.
Or as an aperitif?
As an aperitif.
I think a lot of people are familiar with the Gewürz. And how is the California different from the German or the Alsatian?
Well, the Alsatian Gewürztraminer is made dry. And this wine has a very slight sweetness that takes a little bit of the edge off of it, and that's what makes it nice for an aperitif.
And is it kind of fruity the way the Alsatian Gewürz
It's
comes?
very fruity. The grapes
lovely.
have a tremendous fruit, a beautiful bouquet.
Now, the Zinfandel we're going to have with our sort of beef tartare beginning. Now, how did you pick a Zinfandel? How did you happen to pick that?
Well, Zinfandel grows well in the area where Simi is located, and it's a grape that's been grown in California for 100 years. It's almost, although it originally had a mysterious origin from Europe, we consider it our variety.
Well, so never, all the time when I've been in France, I've never seen that. I'd love to have a little taste of your Zinfandel.
Well, let me open it up for you. We think that the grapes...
I noticed that you're using this California opener.
We call this an osso, and it's a very nice way of opening a bottle.
This has a long end and a short end.
Right, you stick it in
Stick the long
each
end
side
in
of the
first,
cork.
You know.
Push
Wiggle
it down
back and forth.
till it gets clear in. Then turn it. You have a
comes
whole
out
cork.
easily. And there's no danger of pushing the cork into the bottle?
If you lean on it hard, you might, but it really rarely happens, and you don't have a cork broken up by a corkscrew.
Well, that's marvelous.
You can put it back in at the end of the meal if you haven't used all the wine. So let me pour you.
The Zinfandel is, as you say, a very California wine. Does it grow particularly well in Sonoma, do you think?
It grows well. Sonoma has a cool climate, and the cool growing conditions, we're near the ocean, bring out both the color and the varietal character. Zinfandel is considered to have a raspberry varietal character.
Does it keep well, or should you age it, or what?
We make it often for people to drink young because it's so nice and fruity young, but in fact, we have in our winery some 1935 Zinfandel that's still good. So it will age, too.
Would you prefer it young or old?
It depends on how it's made. If I, as a winemaker, make it to age, it will be better in 20 years.
I see.
If I make it to be young and fruity, it should be drunk now.
Is it a little bit like a Beaujolais, sort of young?
Yes, it can be made in a Beaujolais style, which this is. And it's meant to be, to really preserve that raspberry spicy character.
And it's not too heavy either.
It's not meant to be tannic. We don't want it to be astringent when you drink it, as some red wines are.
Who wouldn't adore a wine like this? Selma, thanks so much for bringing them. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the great pleasure to announce that dinner is served. You're right next to me, Douglas, which is nice. And Paul is down. You're down the end. gentlemen, I would like to present you our silver salmon.
I always
The first thing you do is cut up the middle of the fish, right down to the bone. And then you cut off each side a nice portion. Chardonnay 1980, that's a beautiful look at this. Wow, yeah. This is Douglas's dessert called sac de bonbon.
There's a friend of ours.
Well, we've had a wonderful dinner tonight, and I hope you have too. Special thanks to Chef Douglas and his wonderful chocolate dessert. And special thanks also to the Simi Winery for their beautiful wines. Do come again next time. This is Julia Child. Bon appetit.